Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Devastator and Superman 2-pack. So with that said, let's get right into it. Starting off, Superman has a head sculpt that looks up about this much, looks down about this much, has 360-degree rotation, and he also has head tilt. He also has single jointed elbows that come with two different hand sculpts, a fisted hand and a grabbing hand. Although this grabbing hand looks more like a martial artist hand more than it does a grabbing hand. Moving on to his legs, Superman has double jointed knees that go back about this much. He also comes with feet that go up about that much, down about that much, and come with toe articulation. The feet also have rotating balls that help it to pivot to side and side. This also applies to Superman's hands, as he comes with rotating ball joints that help the hands move to different positions, so that way he could be in different stages of a fight or different emotions. He also comes with rotator cuffs inside of his arm that help his arm go up more and flail back, forward, and down more for different action poses. When it comes to chest articulation, Superman has 360-degree rotation on his chest and goes forward about this much and back about this much. Now for the overall design, I think that the Superman is fairly decent. The head sculpt is a much newer and a more angry head sculpt. And this base is based off of the Action Comics 1000 Superman, an older Mcfarlane figure. And although I don't hate the figure, I find a lot of issues with it. I think that the single jointed elbows and like the lack of hand accessories, something about it just kind of throws me off. I prefer more of my figures to have double jointed arms because, it just adds to articulation. Looking more into his suit, Superman also has a metallic colored red S on his symbol, compared to some other Mcfarlane Superman figures that have a more dull and matted coloring. This is a much shinier red, a metallic red, and the underneath is a more matted yellow color, which makes the S stand out a lot more. I like the length and the size of this S, as it takes most of his chest or his upper chest as a symbol rather than just like a middle section. I also think that the Mcfarlane underwear piece is actually painted fairly well. I like that the loops are painted red, although there is some splotching right there, so I do have some yellow on my belt piece. And I also think that the cape is fairly decent as well. Although I kind of prefer either a wired cape or a Superman cape that's more static, I don't mind the overall actiony pose that this cape comes with, especially since it helps Superman with action poses. Moving on to the Devastator. Devastator has single jointed arms that go up to about 90 degrees, and unlike Superman, he doesn't come with ball jointed hands, but actually comes with hinge hands that are much harder to move, since I think the sculpting and the required heating for this figure is kind of what hurts the hand articulation, as sometimes it's it's a little bit easier to do, and then sometimes it's a lot more difficult to move up and down. He also comes with single jointed knees that go less than 90 degrees. He also comes with large feet that have toe articulation, as well as ankle pivot and also calf rotation. In terms of head sculpt, he comes with a hingeable jaw that open and closes, and even comes with the articulated tongue as well. His head can look up about that much, look down about this much, and he has side-to-side rotation on his head, with his head being able to go almost 360 degrees, but is kind of interfered by the sculpting of the spikes on his back. He comes with an open hand and a fisted hand. And alongside Superman, I wish Mcfarlane had provided extra hands for this, because I think it would have made for a more interesting set piece with multiple hands for each character. However, I understand that since this is based off of the very first Devastator, which is a much older Mcfarlane figure, he was probably limited and had to only use these. Although I still wish that we had more articulation in the arms and also that we had more accessories to add on to Devastator. Taking a look at the back, I really like that McFarlane chose to really colorize the deeper areas of the spikes. You can see here that towards the back here, it's a much darker gray, and as it goes up, the gray becomes somewhat lighter, and on certain areas, like the arm right here, it is lighter compared to the other parts. And although I do kind of like the shadowing effect and also black wash, it does leave weird marks. Kind of like right here, it just cuts off. It's just a random black piece that's like a mark on there, and it looks really weird. I've even seen from other people that sometimes they get like black marks on their Devastator's head, and it stands out a lot. But overall, I don't think the paint job is bad. I actually really like it, and I think the sculpting works really well with the new paint job. For accessories, McFarlane provided a base stand for the figures. However, there's only one peg for it, so only one figure can use it. And with such a big figure like Devastator, it tends to take up more of the set piece where Superman has almost nowhere to stand. Although, I really do like the sculpting and the coloring on it. It really does look like random spikes appearing from nowhere from dirt. Like other McFarlane figures, McFarlane also provided the 2-pack with cards for each one of the characters, trading cards to be exact. One for Devastator and one for Superman. Looking on the back, each card also portrays information for each character. Pause now if you want to read for each character's description. For a size comparison, here's the 2-pack Superman next to the McFarlane Rebirth Flash and Arkham Asylum Batman. For a villains comparison, here's the 2-pack Superman next to the Rebirth Bizarro, which is on the Superman Rebirth body mold, which I like much better than the Action Comics 1000 body mold, as it has double jointed elbows, and I like myself a bulkier Superman. I think he looks better that way. This body mold, I think, would have looked very good on this version of Superman if they had used it for the 2-pack. Moving on to Devastator, here's Devastator from the 2-pack next to the Batman Who Laughs Sky Tyrant, who is part of the Merciless Build-A-Figure wave, without his wings. For another comparison between his Dark Knight Metal brothers, here's the Devastator next to my custom Grim Knight and custom Murder Machine. Now here's the Devastator and Superman next to the retro-carded Marvel Legends Spider-Man. And lastly, here's the Superman and Devastator 2-pack right next to each other for a size comparison. Now, overall, I think this 2-pack, if you don't have a Superman and you don't have a Devastator, or even if you want a Doomsday, you could customize this into a Doomsday. And I think the pack overall is a decent pack. I have my issues with it, but I think overall that it's not too bad of a 2-pack. However, my biggest issue, other than articulation for Devastator and Superman, is that Superman, as listed on his card, is supposed to be 6'3". Devastator is supposed to be 8 feet 10 inches. This does not look like 8'10" and 6'3". This looks more like 6'5" for Devastator and 6'3" for Superman. It just doesn't add up for the size. Now, I understand that McFarlane was definitely using the old Devastator sculpt, but I kind of wish that from the first place it would be one of his mega figures, just to make the size more comparable, and especially because Devastator is supposed to be the biggest person in the group of the Dark Knight's Metal Wave. Overall, I think that this 2-pack is fine. I think that if you want to pick it up, definitely go for it. I mean, it's your choice, you know? I'm just here to give my opinion. Well, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Later.